Hey everybody, welcome to another Tactical Supremacy video. Today I'm joined by Brett and Mark. They're going to be showcasing Trolls versus Cryx.
So the scenario we ended up playing was Invasion, and there were two forests kind of central, two houses off to the bottom side of the screen, a hill, two water features joined together, and a wall on one side. I ended up taking the left-hand side for the viewer's perspective, because I figured I might be able to create a cloud wall there later in the game once his guidance unit was dead.
There's also some rubble under my Marauders, you just can't see right now.
Oh yeah, the cleverly hidden rubble.
So I'm deploying here. Mark gave me the side. I'm thinking of a couple things. One, I'm going to line up some ghost walks for my models that will have to go through the rubble. Secondly, I know Mark wants to cloud off that bottom zone, so I'm thinking of just putting some Smog Belchers there for some guidance shots, as well as some Cephalix Overlords that can manage that zone. In the center / top, I put some Marauders who, with Ghost Walk on my second turn, can kind of advance into that forest, start taking shots, or taking shots towards the top of the board, and Shard Pirates on the top who can kind of, with a longer threat range, collapse that top zone, collapse the center a little bit. And then Kharybdis will join them up there with Ragman. I like the Shard Pirates as kind of the gang fighter proc for him. And then in the back, there's just the support solos, Axiara, Satyxis Blood Priestess, Dirge Seers, and I think that's it. And then I also have Gerlak down in the bottom who needs to get Ghost Walked to go through the rubble, and he's going to get up behind that forest. I paired this with Denny 2 in Black Industries, which was Deathjack, 5 Slayers, pretty standard list. But I really liked the concept of this list into Trolls, so I wanted to give this a run here. So I'm just wrapping up my deployment on everything else. I guess the only other model I forgot is I have a Misery Cage, which will go out during my AD. I have 2 Arc Nodes to go with Kharybdis in the battle group, and I believe that is it.
Yeah, and then so my pair was, for any of you guys who are on Lore Hordes, the Troll forums, or listen to Dominate for 2, it's Madrak 1, Storm of the North, Kolgrima, Storm of the North. So I start off by placing Kolgrima. Since she has Pathfinder, just planning on going up through the forest, and I kind of build my deployment around that, with the Krielstone kind of going up the perfect center. The Ice Troll, here I'm just double checking that it does have Pathfinder, because I've been taking it in and out of my list as I've been fiddling with it, so I don't remember everything on its card offhand. But so it's planning on going through the forest. Bomber is playing center / towards the side that has the least amount of terrain where it can kind of peek around the forest, and then the champs kind of box that in. We were discussing this after the game, but I think you overvalued the champs in the matchup, whereas I kind of saw them as just like their bodies and fodder here, because they're mainly there for hard targets, and you have a ton of infantry, so unless you give me some really good overtakes, it really doesn't matter. So I have 3 ambushing units in this, 1 set of bears, or 2 sets of bears, 1 set of Pyg Lookouts. I deploy 1 set of bears and I ambush the others.
Yep, and I only had that Misery Cage behind the building, which would be a good corpse collecting spot. Here Mark's just checking if I have anything that can get into his AD. My longest threat would really just be Arc Node, run, and spells, but even that won't reach his AD line, so he's pretty safe here.
I originally started the bears centrally with a plan of putting them into that pocket of the forest in the center, but then I realized that since I'm going second, I probably want to leave or have my Raiders with a gap open in the center such that my Runebearer and my Krielstone can walk up into it, give them speed, and they walk 7, shoot 8. There's a little bit of wonkiness with the formation. I think I wish I had gone slightly wider to the right-hand side and left only a single wide slot for the Krielstone, because I don't think the Runebearer needed to go that far up this turn.
Yep.
But that's my only real regret here.
So here I'm just pretty standard unpacking. I start with Denny. I get some Ghost Walks out on the models that need to go through the rough terrain, which was just the Smog, Belchers, and Gerlak. So she casts that, she advances. I use Axiara to put Prowl onto the Marauders, which turns out to be pretty relevant for the next turn. And then other than that, I'm just kind of getting everything max distance. I'm doing a little bit of checking here to make sure I'm not giving bears free reign into me. I think I'm in threat if he uses Hunter's Mark, but I'm pretty safe there. So yeah, we're just checking bear threat ranges into my Smog Belchers. And then I'm just looking to exploit this center forest, because with Ghost Walk, it's good terrain for me. So I can just walk and shoot, getting Gerlak right there through the rough terrain. And then my overlords are coming the bottom zone here and getting in a good position to take that zone. What I started doing here, which is helpful to me, I'm making a habit of, is I found myself with so much infantry that I was always blocking in my own arc nodes for my next turn. And it made the feat timing really difficult because I couldn't get arc nodes into place. So now when I'm unpacking infantry, I'll kind of just lay down a 3-inch step, and it just gives me a sign to like keep this lane clear. It's been good for me.
Yeah, I really didn't think about this during the game, but I think I should have given you the side I took just because there was more breadth of the just post-deployment zone that had rough terrain.
Yep.
And I kind of was just coming in with the expectation, because virtually all my army has Pathfinder. Like everything except for like the Bomber and the Krielstone has Pathfinder or Relentless Charge. So I don't really care about terrain, but I think I didn't really take into account how vulnerable your deployment silhouette was to getting screwed over by terrain.
Yeah, the more I have to be casting Ghost Walk on things to make the terrain work, the less that means I'm getting my upkeeps out on the feet turn or using Venoms or things like that. I mean, I don't mind using it, but it's definitely not my first choice. And here I'm just unpacking a couple Shard Pirates, got a couple on a hill up in the zone, and just kind of keeping the rest back. Checking what the command is for Shard Pirates is 8, so just keeping them all in formation.
There's me putting my Fury out because I realize you're just finishing up your last couple of runs.
Yep, so Kharybdis is just making sure he's not going to get sprayed to death by Kolgrima, which Mark loves to do, or the Bomber, and he's at a very safe distance, so he's fine there. And then the Dirge Seers are kind of just getting a position to spread some guidance, and the Blood Priestess is just going through that rough terrain to get within 3 inches of Denny, and I pass the turn.
Yep, and so at this point I'm just trying to establish whether I can walk into stealth range. It turns I'm out by a hair. I don't think you actually measured that.
No, that was just fortunate placing, which I was fine with.
Because that would have been nice. And let's see where I start, because I remember everything I did, but I can't remember the order I did it in. Okay, so I think I start off by figuring out exactly where
Kolgrima can go and get maybe she's checking for a Hunter's Mark on the Smog.
No, this wasn't Hunter's Mark. This was, I was trying to, her Affliction spell, Cursed Fate, I believe is the name of it. -2 death and auto point of damage, because then instead of 8s, I need 6s to hit.
Mm-hmm. That would have been really good on the Marauders.
But I can't really walk vanish. I think I also measure if I do Stone Speed first, whether I can do it, and it just doesn't work. So at that point, I think
the Bomber.
Start with the Bomber, just looking to fish some shots, see if I can get any boosted POW 8s to do any work.
Yep, and the Marauders are proud, so even if he was in threat, he's going to be missing here. So he's just looking, I think, for some good deviations, because they are clumped fairly close together.
Yeah.
So that's the distance he comes up short. And the first deviation, I think, goes to nothing. Yep.
Yeah, it's to the 3, so just like the middle of that forest. Second shot, I get a really nice deviation.
Yeah, right onto Denny and a couple Marauders.
3 Marauders, I believe.
Yeah, and Denny.
And so I boost onto 2 of them and tough check both of them.
Yeah, you tough check 2 of them. I pass 1, I fail the other, and the other one bounces. And then Denny, the damage also bounces. So I actually was happy with this. I lost 1 model. I get Vengeance, which I don't know if you were expecting coming the next turn. But
I wasn't really taking it into account, but since I knew I was probably feeding, I didn't really care.
yeah, I wasn't even thinking about you feeding here at all either. So definitely caught me off guard. Yeah, I think you're still just rolling up some more deviations. Those are done. Now you're doing the stone so you can get the Raiders in the mix.
Yeah, making sure I'm outside of the Raiders' walk shoot threat. Wasn't taking Vengeance into account, but with the anti-shooting, that ended up not being a problem.
Yep.
I end up rolling max on Awaken the Stone, which is nice, because it lets me be a little bit more of a doer with Kolgrima. Run the Ice Troll, roll it to max, because I know I'm going to go empty this turn.
Yep. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous here because I wasn't thinking about you just rolling deviations into the Shard Pirates, and they were clumped pretty close together that I thought if you started putting things in there, I was going to be in some trouble with that unit.
Eilish ends up puppet mastering the unit, and the unit just kind of walks up. My goal here was just to try and get some random deviations, because I figure you're just going to backhand the heck out of me next turn. So just like try and get some damage in with my screening unit and try and follow up from there with my ambushers.
Yeah. So the thing that's happening here that I think hurts for you maybe a little bit is it's a lot of time to roll like 10 deviations out like this. And I think by the end of it, it was a significant portion of your clock trying to work through it all.
Yeah, though in my experience, after like the first couple of turns ends up being so short, especially because Kolgrima likes to pull the trigger and just kill you once enough pieces are off the board, that I'm willing to take the time to do it all.
Yep. So you got a Smog Belcher there. I think you're rolling 8s, and you got 1, toughed him, knocked him down, and then the other one took him. And then I'm not sure you connect on any of the rest here on this side of the board.
Yeah, I'm scattering into a couple of them each time, but POW 6s against ARM 15s or 16s.
Yeah,
like
15s on
yep.
the Belchers. Yep, you're off 9. And they have boxes, so it was hard to break. Here we're just trying to check out models caught in the deviation.
Here I regret putting them into the Raiders. I think I should have put the shots into the Shard Pirates.
Yeah, I think that would have been better too.
At least a couple more over on that side. But
I mean, it's hard enough to break armor on the Marauders, and then you're tough no knockdown, whereas you only need 6s on blast to tough the Shard Pirates. And
don't I need 7s? Are they armor 12?
they're armor 11.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah. And then you clip Denny, you actually do some damage to her there, but I just wave it with focus. I was still on 3. So 2 shots on Denny on your bottom of 1, but inconsequential in the end.
Yeah. And I think even with my low allocation of shots onto the Shard Pirates, I kill 2 and tough a 3rd.
Yeah, pretty sure that's how it works. And then when they're toughed, you know, they are knocked down, so they don't really get the same output the next turn like the Marauders still do.
Do you have any access to Rise from a solo?
No, not for the Shard Pirates.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
And here you're just deviating. That was a good deviation. I think you got all 3 of them.
Yep.
But you're still looking for 10s to break armor, 11s to break armor, something hard.
Well, their armor, what?
16s.
So 11s, yeah.
And there's 1, and I think I failed the tough check, so. So I'm still trying to figure out where this is going to go for me next turn. I've got a lot of Raiders lined up there that maybe I can get some good assault sprays, good Marauder shots. I'm not expecting you to defeat, so it catches me quite a bit off guard on all of the way I'm planning during your turn. How to deal with the Raiders ends up not really being a way that'll work for me.
Yeah, and then here's kind of the defining moment of the game. I come up, so I advance, forwards, vanish, spray down a dude, feet, and what's it called? Dump the remainder of my fury into the stone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're measuring that. You've got easy 10 to the Smog Belcher. Now you're checking your feet distance, and you're catching a pretty good portion of my army. I think
basically everything except for like Kharybdis and the Shard Pirates.
Yeah, and like 5 Marauders, but those Marauders were far enough back that I don't think they were in a really good position to take advantage next turn anyways.
Yeah, because they were kind of stuck behind the wall in your own stuff.
Yeah. So you smoke that Smog Belcher, and then you feats, and we just take the time to resolve this. I forget what we're discussing here. you just trying to figure out what to do with the rest of your fury, I think, and you decided to put it on the stone right there. There's the feat token.
Yeah, so somebody stole my feat coin, I don't know who, and so ever since Crucible I've been using my best in faction plaque. And it's kind of my personal flex.
Yep, so the pushes, there's nothing too big of a deal. We thought that arc node in the end maybe was getting a little close to out of control, but I still had it in 14, so that was very fortunate for me. And then the rest of it...
Not 100% sure if that ended up mattering.
Yeah. And then I'm marking the Marauders that can't shoot. I think 4 of the 8 will have no guns on my turn.
Yeah.
So then you pass the turn, and now I'm thinking...
Not quite yet. I still have to do the champs and the bears.
That's right.
So the champs, they're kind of playing around with the 17-inch threat of the Shard Pirate Assault.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of regret this move, but I box in my bomber a bit too much. Because I think I've just been playing too much Madrak in general, where shooting with the Glacier King, it's really hard to block LOS to things for the Glacier King because he's a huge base. And like you care less about order of activation because either they aren't coming into you and you're winning, or they are coming into you and you can do whatever you like. You can jackhammer, you can go with them first, whatever.
Yep. So you're just moving the bears, and
the bears are getting in the zone so that they can basically kill anything that touches any of the zones.
So here's my turn. I'm thinking a couple things. I really don't want to feat for attrition because I'd really only get the Raiders out of it, and I want a feat turn where I can use all of my guns, the Smog, Belchers, and the Marauders. I'm thinking a couple things here. That was checking Gerlak's charge range to the Marauders, which he can threat 11, moves 10 with Bloodthirst. And then I'm asking Mark Kolgrima's stats, which is always a scary question for anybody, I think. And so what I'm thinking here is I'm actually going to go for an assassination. He's on 0 camp. When I feat, it's 5 to hit, dice off 5 for the venom. I have 8 focus. And then what really seals it for me is Gerlak can kind of do his Pac-Man thing through these Raiders and end up on Kolgrima. The only issue is I got to Ghost Walk him, which means Denny will only have 6, so she's going to roll those hard 5s to hit, and she's going to boost a dice off 5 for damage twice. Just taking my Vengeance moves here, just kind of going through some of the motions of the turn in case that's not where I go.
Yeah, I really wasn't respecting Gerlak's threat here, because I just figured like his I'm really good at really bad at eyeballing overtake. Yeah. And I figured you might not be able to pull it off.
Yeah. So there we just checked the arc nodes in threat, and I decided I'm going to go for it because I think the Gerlak shot gives me some pretty good odds. So now I'm just marking out a place. She has Owl's Wisdom up, so I just need to land Venom targeting another model and hitting Kolgrima, and that's not too hard to do. There's a lot back there, but I think I just end up saying I'll shoot the bear. The one thing that I forgot, that's a really good pro tip for Slaughter Fleet players in this situation, if I just had my Blood Priestess poke a Dirge Seer, she could kill it, she could cast Ghost Walk onto Gerlak. And then,
this is where you almost screw up, because you... So you move your guy into position, you go with Denny, and you walk out of...
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second, there's no arc node near Gerlak, I need to Ghost Walk him first. So Denny's figuring out where she's going to go, and then before...
Well, just for the moral high ground, you moved Denny, you picked her up. Yeah, right there, it's on the video. And then, I mean, like, no dice have been rolled. This is just kind of like part of my general game spiel in general. If dice haven't been rolled, I really don't care if you roll things back.
So then I take her back there, I cast Ghost Walk, I move up, I feat, I start to measure my reposition, and we're like, wait, no, not repositioning yet, there's some spells to be cast. So start going for the Venoms here, rolling some 5s. Like I said, if I just used my Blood Priestess for Ghost Walk, these would be boosted, but there's a 5, a 4, and a 1, which was fortunate to me. Now I'm rolling damage. I'm off 5, and I think I only roll like an 8 or something. Not very good.
You roll an 8 on the first one. I think you roll a 9 on the second one because you end up doing 7 damage in total to me and leaving me on 8. Yeah,
so I do 7 at Corroder, which is kind of nice because that means I only have to do 1 less damage if I count on the corrosion finishing the job the next turn. But
it's 2/3 of 1 point.
It's good enough. It was good enough for me.
It's like those old unhinged cards from Magic the Gathering where they have half power.
Yep, so I repower back, and now Gerlak comes in, takes his 10, he's getting right up there.
Surf.
So he's here on these Feated Raiders. He's a Knot Snakes to hit, and since he's Grievous and Weapon Master, he's just auto kill. So I'm just surfing this proxy base through. There's 3 more I get to hit. You were a little concerned with the positioning, but I think when I started doing it, it really wasn't too bad to work through it all.
I thought you were going to be bumped in a bit too much by the curve to like actually maximize your movements and land there.
Yeah, but even on my last overtake, I was really close to Kolgrima already.
Yeah.
So get them all, and he's back off the proxy base. There he is.
And then he needs 4s to hit.
4 to hit, and he needs a 10 to kill. And there's the 10.
Yep.
That's the game.
And that's GG.
All right, Mark. So what do you think you could have done different?
So I mentioned some of the woulda, coulda, shouldas during the play-by-play. I don't think I respected Gerlak. I kind of came into this game being like, let's see how hard I can push it and see what I can get away with. And it turns out I couldn't get away with Kolgrima being right there.
Not quite everything, huh?
Yeah. I think it would have been pretty easy for me to camp 2 and basically be unassassinatable because while the bomber maxed out the ice troll, it just ran. It ran and riled, so I could have had 2 less fury there and then just put 2 less into the stone and then in basically an unkillable position because I can just transfer both of Gerlak's attacks, and that was almost literally everything Brett could have gotten on me.
Yeah. I mean, he actually only even gets 1, so it would have.
Doesn't he have 2 initials?
Nope, just 1. Oh. So 1 would have probably been fine.
1 transfer probably would have been fine. I thought he had 2 initials for some reason. And again, the Champs boxing and the Bomber wasn't happy about, and I think I should have taken the other side.
Cool. Awesome. And Brett, I mean, a win's a win, but how would you approach that a little differently?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've played against Mark and Kolgrima enough that if I can see a chance to take a game from him, I've kind of got to go for it. So that was maybe a lower odds play than I think I would normally go for. Maybe I need to try and do that more. I think my biggest mistake was probably in deployment. The next turn, those Pyg Lookouts were going to come in and we're just going to rip the Shard Pirates apart.
And the Bears too.
And those Bears were probably going to come in. They could have gotten the Overlords and just taken that zone over, or they could have come in on all my stuff and done a lot of work. So I don't think I was planning for ambush enough. I probably could have played a little tighter, put really the things I want to go for more in the center of the board. But
as an additional suggestion, I don't think you went to exactly 14 to Kolgrima with Denny. I think you should have gone to exactly 14 and then repoed straight back 3 inches, because then you're 17 inches away from Kolgrima, who has -2 speed. So she walks 3. She has to basically do speed or be able to charge to be able to catch you.
If the assassination failed, I wouldn't die on the next turn.
Yes, because of the fact that you didn't go back far enough. Because I could have just walk vanished into the forest and gotten you. Yeah.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you want to see more great videos, click over here. If you want to hear Mark ramble on about what he thinks War Machine's like, you can follow him at Dominate4Two.
Do we even use that Twitter handle?
Do you even have
Check
Twitter?
us out. I'm fairly certain we do, but we don't use it. Go to Dominate4Two on Facebook or museonminis.com, where we will occasionally post our podcast.
Occasionally.
Occasionally. We've been a little bit off schedule recently. I know you guys know what that feels like.
Oh, dang. All right, we're gonna...
Also smash that like button and ring the bell to subscribe.
Yeah, all that stuff, because I'm terrible at that.